Hey everyone, welcome back to Plugin Tut, your home for handcrafted WordPress plugin tutorials. My God, it has been some time since I've said that phrase, about a year and a half since I've put a piece of content on this channel. If you're just joining this to watch the tutorial, check the show notes below, check the comments. I'll timestamp when the tutorial starts. If you're familiar with my tutorials, I generally give you my point of view on the piece of software that I'm testing, just because that's the only way that makes me just a little bit different than most tutorial creators on YouTube. So if you want to just jump right into it, click the timestamp below. The WordPress 2019 theme. It has shipped with everybody who has downloaded WordPress 5.0, which recently got released about a week ago. And we're going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about the usability of it. We're going to talk about my feelings on the 2019 theme. And then we are going to talk about Gutenberg. It's only going to take about a minute and a half to go of that jibber jabber. I have been really looking forward to this theme ever since I saw the design of it. I'm really interested in the typography, the usability of it, the readability of it, and it's been a theme that I've generally been excited for my WordPress website, for the mattreport.com, and maybe other projects that I've wanted to use. And I'm not getting to the point of, well, I'm not going to touch it anymore. I really like it for blogging. I like it for that readability. I like it for maybe handcrafted content, stuff that you're going to spend a little bit more time building that richer blog post, especially with Gutenberg. There are some faults. What I've really found with using this theme have been the inconsistencies between Gutenberg core itself and some of the options Gutenberg gives to an individual block versus what the theme extends Gutenberg to do, most notably like cover images, and being able to make that full width and other blocks that would be really good fit in full width not have that ability. But the one glaring issue is much more with Gutenberg, and that is the usability of dragging blocks around, particularly when you're working with multi-column blocks. It's been ultimately frustrating. When I look at the if you look at Gutenberg with 2 years worth of development time, you look at what Beaver Builder has done in 2 years' time, there's a vast difference in the usability of Beaver Builder with a much smaller team, though maybe ahead of the market a little bit, but certainly a much smaller team to sample data from, especially when you look at the data they can capture from WordPress.com and WordPress.org and how people are using Gutenberg. Kudos to Beaver Builder, I guess is what I'm saying. So I definitely found some struggles in there. You'll hear that, and you maybe even see it as I had to edit this video a lot as I found some areas that I really struggled with. And I hope you still get to use this tutorial as a way to build an example site using the 2019 theme. What you'll find in the video is I used two sample pages really. The one that was from the original 2019 theme announcement, and then from the Codex example. Basically pulling the screenshots that they've used to sample 2019 theme, and that's what we build in today's video. If you like it, if you want more of this stuff, if you want to see me make more tutorial videos on this channel, thumbs up the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, share it with friends and family. We'll see you in the next video, and we'll see you in the tutorial right now. So here we are, blank slate on 2019 theme. I am already logged in. That's why you see the admin bar up top. We're going to go to the customizer. We're going to start with the customizer to give you the high-level overview of customizing this theme, and then we'll drill down deeper into the finer details of pages, posts, in the new Gutenberg world that we live in. Again, reminder, I'm going to shed some thoughts. Shed some thoughts? I'm going to share some thoughts at the end of this video about this whole thing. Let's start with site identity. It's generally where you start when you're creating your first site or building out a new site. So I'm just going to call this Mattreport test site. You can see my pop-up there. I was already testing this before. I'm going to give it a tagline, a podcast for WordPress entrepreneurs, because I already typed that in before. So you can see that's how this theme designs the header section there, your site title and your site byline right to the right of it. I'm going to go ahead and add in a logo. First thing I'm going to show you is how they handle the logo here. So again, if we're following along with our example documentation, you can see they use like this round avatar kind of thing. And so one downfall of this is not many small businesses, unless you're just a freelancer or a photographer, an artist or something like that. But if you are growing a brand, generally you don't have your avatar as the company logo. Very much so if you're a writer or a freelancer or a consultant. Yes, I totally get that. I'm kind of surprised that this theme chose that art direction for logo. Anyway, I digress. We'll go back to the customizer and let me just show you what happens. So if I select something like this We Are Here logo, which is a logo that I actually use for one of these podcasts that I do in my local market, you can see that it drops right in there, and it's fine. It looks okay. It's not aligned properly. But if I hover over it, you can see that circle around it. So we're going to go ahead and change that logo. And if you had a more traditional horizontal logo, you could see that in this case, my Matt Report logo, I can only play with this aspect ratio. So I can move this crop area around, sort of get this microphone in there, crop the image. You can see as it applies that sort of circle effect, it doesn't really look all that good. You really need something that is going to be a face. I don't even know if I can do it with this one. I could. So I could do something like this. Crop the image, and then that would be the logo for my site. So we'll just roll with that for now, just for example sake. I'm going to skip over colors because first I want to show you the menu system because that actually directly relates to that. I'm going to build the menu because I don't have one already, so I'm going to call it primary menu. And again, I do have a cold, so I do apologize for that if my voice starts cracking, popping, snapping, and all that fun stuff. So I call it primary menu. I dropped it in. I noticed that little add items did a little pop there. That was kind of cool. I don't think I've ever noticed that before. So go ahead and hit add items. We're going to just drop in some links here. This is just a test site. It's got a bunch of random data on it. In fact, I don't even know what it has on it. But you can see that the menu builds out home, purchase history, transaction, failure page, if you had those pages there. And that's like any other WordPress, modern WordPress site, that's how you build out a menu. And this is where the menu is going to appear in the 2019 theme. Let's take a step back and create another menu. We're going to call this socials. Because you notice in the example pages, you have these little social icons there, and you might have been poking around looking for those before you get to this video, trying to figure out where you put this in. Where do you put in these URLs? Is it in the user profile? Is it in theme settings? No, it's a custom menu. This is not the first theme to do this. I don't know what the technology is called here, but when you put in twitter.com, whoops, sorry, I'm searching in the wrong place here. I need to do custom links. So when I go to add my menu item to the menu, I have to use custom links, and I'm going to do something called twitter.com/MattReport, and add menu. And you can see it just drops in the typography icon for the Twitter icon, right? So if I did something like YouTube, the Matt Report, YT Matt Report, it's going to use the YouTube icon, and so on and so forth. As you add the social links that it supports, it's going to put those in there. Now, the caveat to all of this stuff is, while it's cool and super simple, not the first theme to do it, I don't have anywhere in the documentation, except for, let me just check real quick here. Yeah, the word social doesn't come up there, and the word social it does come up here. Okay, add social icons. So this is where the in the codex page will show you all of the social icons that are supported with that menu system. Okay, so that's pretty cool. It does list it here. I thought it wasn't listing it anywhere, but in fact it does. My fault on that. So you can check out the codex page if you want to see it supporting all of these icons. Cool. Now, switching back to looking at colors, we're going to go back to the color section. This is why I left this the section blank and did the menus first. It's because I just want to show you how the colors work in this theme. I'm going to go to custom. This is where you can customize the colors. You can see as I drag my color slider, my primary navigation is changing colors, and that's pretty cool. So I can change this to anything I want, sort of like a deep purple. And I can do this other thing here where it's called apply a filter to featured images using the primary color. And what this will do is exactly what it says. It creates like this filter over the blog post featured image. We'll take a look at that in a little bit. Much like the rest of this theme, I wish there was more options here. And I'm hoping as we go into 2019 gets more options. No weird pun intended. I hope that they add more things here, because especially for colors, we might want to do things with header colors or social icon colors, or site title colors. That might be an interesting one where you could change the color of the site title. Again, you can do all this stuff in HTML and CSS, but who wants to do that, right? We want the options baked right in to this theme, because this is now the default theme for WordPress. It's supposed to be the baseline, or the canvas, if you will, of using WordPress 5.0 and Gutenberg and building all these fancy websites. Widgets. We're going to go to the widget section. Wait, did I skip one? Menus. No, widgets. We'll go to the widget section. I'm not going to put anything. I'll just put a text widget in here. It supports a widget section in the footer area. Might say something like contact info. Boom, boom, boom. You could say mattreport.com. 123 Nowhere Street. Okay. You might do something like that, or you might use an official address widget or something like that to use in the footer, whatever you want, but just showing you that you can drop in a widget in the footer section. That's the extent of what you're going to be using the customizer for in terms of the theme options that 2019 comes with. So now we're going to dive into building out our homepage. All right, now you can see the fruits of our labor, except for all the content stuff in the homepage. We built the header section. We put the site logo in. We put a couple social icons in. We put the contact info in the footer section. Now what's left? Well, just doing the rest of the homepage. Everything else to make your site look good. You can edit page here or edit page here. Let's go ahead and hit edit page here. Now remind you that this is the Gutenberg experience. There's a lot of stuff that people have been saying about Gutenberg. A lot of it is true. Some of it is false. I am still struggling, and in fact, I probably will struggle as I move through this, not because it's overly complicated, it's just that the UI, it just isn't as, tack sharp as something like a Beaver Builder. When you're working with Beaver Builder, number one, you're on the front end of a website versus here we are back in the editor, and number two, it's just, I don't know if it just had more time. It feels like roughly the same amount of time for it to polish itself off, and it's just very difficult to work within the constraints of this UI. But let's go ahead and build the examples that we've been seeing in these articles. Not that one. We want to use this one. So we're going to do something of building a small business website or a consulting website. And this will be the welcome page, the cover image, the text body, and the services section real quick. So first you can see I have welcome to the Matt Report. I'm just going to say welcome, just like our example does. And I'm going to add a new block. We're going to call this, well, we're not going to call it anything. The default name of it is the cover block. And when you use the cover block, you have the chance to upload an image and you get the chance to pick from the media gallery. I'm going to pretend this is a car site. I'm going to pretend this is an automobile and a food site. How about that for some clashing? So select that, and I get to write a title here. The best food and car consultant around. Okay, so now I'm gonna update this, and then we're gonna preview it. And you can see right here, it just drops right into the content section of our site, of our homepage. But you might be saying, how do we get it to do this cool stretch example here? Well, let's just do that right now. So when we get to the back end of this cover image or cover block, and this is where I begin to struggle a little bit between Gutenberg and the theme options, and where should options come from? Should they spawn from Gutenberg? Should they be baked into a theme? What happens if the theme is trying to use what's in Gutenberg and it's not ultimately clear? So like we just looked at, we saw the image is just in our content area. We want to make it full width. When I click on the block, or I click on the content area of this block, my image, as it were, you can see on the right hand side, this is where all your block options come up. And I'm not going to dive into Gutenberg specifically in this video, but you can see that there's a lot of block options here. So there's the fixed background thing. So when you scroll, the image stays in one spot, but it looks like it's got this cool parallax effect. You could do overlay colors here. So I could do like a purple overlay color. I can change that opacity of that to make it look kind of cool. And I can add some CSS, but there's no option here to make it full width. That's in fact above the block. And it just gets cumbersome after a while. You get sort of, scratching your head trying to figure this stuff all out if you're a first-time user. Go ahead and click full width, hit update, we'll preview again. And boom. There is the best food and car consultant around. If I switch this to wide width, update that, I believe it gets a little bit larger. Yeah, it's just a little bit larger. It's still not that full width that we wanted. So we're gonna go ahead and switch back to that, and we're gonna get rid of this awful purple, really distracting me there. So hit preview one last time, make sure our changes took effect, and it did. And we're gonna see what's next on the old list. Next up is adding in some of that text below that with this uppercase start of the paragraph. and we'll actually left justify this text so we can match that up. So we're going to go ahead and select that and left justify it there. Hit update. Now I'm going to go ahead and add in. So we're not going to add in a heading. We're going to add in another text paragraph. And again, this is where you start to really wrestle with with Gutenberg. So I'm going to go ahead and say welcome. We'll say we welcome you to the best food and car consultants in the Northeast. Because we are in the Northeast and it is already freezing cold. So what I'm going to do here is just quickly select all of this text and just fill this out because I just want something that looks a little bit more meatier there, no pun intended. I'm going to enable the drop cap on the right-hand side. You can see it's going to capitalize that first letter in the paragraph. I'm going to hit update, going to hit preview. Scroll down a little bit and boom, there is our capital letter at the start of the paragraph. Again, I don't know how they're doing the services section. Services. No, it doesn't pop up there. This pops up there. That's the only place it pops up. So there's a couple ways to tackle this. You could just do columns if you wanted to. So that's what we'll do. We'll just do columns. We'll do website design and marketing just because that's what they have. All right, going to go ahead and hit another block there. We're going to hit add block at the top. I had a little bit of problem struggling, remembering that that's where you can always default to if you're looking for a block. It just drives me crazy that in the progression of building out a page or a post, I simply can't hit add block right down here at the bottom. I always feel like my UI and the tools around my UI disappear on me with Gutenberg. We're going to go ahead and put in the columns. We're going to go and do 2 columns. So first thing we're going to do is say web design and web marketing, because I believe that is what we have in the front. And I hit full width there. I didn't mean to do that. I'm going to go, let's go wide width and see what happens. Pull up the settings in here. These are just my paragraph, my columns. Those are 2. You can always extend this to 3 or 4. Let's go 4. We'll say web marketing. We'll say we'll say web marketing, SEO, and video production. Why not? We do everything around here. I'm going to go ahead and hit a title in here and say our services. And drag that up top. See, this is where I start to struggle with it. I really have to hit it right or else it doesn't lock in there. So our services. Icons that they use in this example, you could just download these if you're looking for them. Again, I don't know if they have plans for a specific block, a services block that pulls up those font awesome icons. But for right now, we're just going to skip that part. I'm going to hit update and then preview it. All right, so take a look at the front end here. Here we are with the Our Services section. And you can see that we added our web design, web marketing, SEO, and video production. It's kind of weird that a food and car consultant also does that stuff. That's pretty interesting. All right, let's take a look at blog post. And this is actually what I am more interested in with the 2019 theme. I think that this is where this theme actually excels. It's not so much the static homepage or even customized product pages that you might do with Gutenberg and the theme style here, but publishing rich content like this might be something of interest to you, and this is what I really like. So I'm going to go ahead and preview this, and you can see here I have my featured image. If I had selected that color overlay, there'd be like this, whatever color I had chosen, there'd be a nice overlay effect here. In fact, let me just show you that really quick. Customize, colors, apply filter. You can see it's going to absorb the color of the default color of the site over that featured image. It'll do it for every single featured image, so it can get a little overwhelming. Or if I had a yellowish kind of tint to it, it would do that on all of my blog posts. But I'm going to go ahead and disable that just to show you as an example. And that's one of the reasons why I like the blog post layout or the single post layout of this theme, because I think it lends to do really well with readability and overall user experience. I like the use of white space. The typography is really nice, and I like the structure of this header. Let's go ahead and dive into customizing this single blog post and just show you some of the nice features that I like about this for creating more rich content with WordPress here, or what I should say is with 2019 theme and Gutenberg. So let's go ahead and add a block. I'm going to do a pull quote. I'm going to say, this is a pull quote. This
theme is okay. Citation is me, and then I will align this to the right, and it does it all pretty seamless right there. I do enjoy that. I think that if you're using a lot of quotes, or if you're doing a lot of interviews, and that style is really nice, it looks really good. I can't say anything more about it. It's a simple feature, but it's also one of those things that can be messed up pretty easily as well. If I do something like this, where I switch this to, let's say well, first of all, I can do the drop cap on the welcome paragraph or the intro paragraph. Yes, that's kind of cool. I can do something of the, let's add another block here to show you an example. I can use that same cover image that we used at the top of the video, and do some cool full width images inside of our content, which I think is really nice too. In fact, I think it's a really cool feature. Depending on what you're doing, adding this kind of effect inside of a blog post is really going to make it stand out. All right, one last cool feature. I was just trying to find it there. I might have skipped in the video. It's sort of a hack. It's not something that's default, although I wish it would be, or I wish it could be. One of the cool things about this theme is, again, that full width layout that you can achieve. One thing that might be kind of interesting is if you did something like this. So if you had a really long blog post, I'm going to go ahead and add a block. And, this is where I struggle. Like right now, like usually there's like an add block that pops up somewhere. It's not doing it right now. Maybe if I go over here like this, it doesn't do it. It's amazing. I'm going to go ahead and add block up at the top, and I will give this a heading. And let's say you're making something really long, and you had like these, you needed to sort of break up the content. I'll go chapter 2, a new world. And then I might do something like, or actually not. We want to go to paragraph. We don't want to do a header, because with the paragraph, what we can do is color settings. We can give it a background color and give the text color a white, and we'll do huge, really, really huge, and hit update on that just because I don't want to lose it. So we'll click on the cover image, and we will edit as HTML and steal the align full class. We'll take that class, we're going to apply it to this section. Go ahead and hit update and hit preview. And you can see I've given the full width CSS style to this header. And that's kind of interesting. I mean, it's just a little hack. It's using that CSS that we've used on the featured image, on the cover image, to apply a full width thing there. Not that bad to do something like that. I don't think it's really going to break much, but I'm not a web developer, so don't quote me on that. But that's a cool way to give maybe any of these blocks a full width approach in this theme, even if that option doesn't appear in the default settings of it. So if I go back to modify this visually, again, this is where I really struggle with this either theme or Gutenberg. These options aren't unlocked in the rest of these blocks, and that can be kind of tedious to deal with that. But again, copy a style, drop it in the additional CSS class. Maybe it'll come in the future. Who knows? But that's a really great way to apply that effect in your content.